And we're live. Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Sally, can you hear us? Or can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Assalamu alaikum.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm all good.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for joining us for the live session. This is the first time that we're actually doing an Instagram live session. This is the first time that I'm doing an Instagram live session.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's going to be amazing. We have heard so much about you. Super excited to meet you. Super excited to have a discussion with you regarding parenting perspectives and regarding ASD, learning more about it from a parent's and a professional's perspective. So we will just wait maybe 1 minute more before we start, so that more people can join us, and then we will start. And in the meantime, I'll just see why my Right. So, how have you been? How's everything going so far?
All good. I know you've been following me, so I work for a company called The Butterfly. It's an advocacy company, the first of its kind in the UAE, and it's all related to people of determination. We basically involve with advocating for kids, students of determination. If some kids don't have access to schools, we try to advocate for them, or even for centers. We try to support their families as well. And currently, it's been a year now. We just celebrated last week the first year of launching a new program. And what we do with this, thank you. What we actually do with this program is that we go every month and we guide a pool of leading organizations in the UAE to guide them from A to Z on how to include people of determination in their workplace on a period of 1 year. So for 12 months, we gather them all in a room with their facility, and we guide them on a specific subject to employ people of determination. And it has been an amazing journey.
That is amazing. That's really something which is very unique, and something I feel that is lacking, not just in when you talk about UAE, but actually everywhere in the world. So this is something that is amazing and great. I think we have waited long enough, and let's start. So first of all, Bismillah Rahmanir Rahim. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us. With us, we have Miss Sally Helweh. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes.
All right.
Helweh.
Miss Sally Helweh.
Yeah.
So just as a brief introduction, so Miss Sally is firstly a super mom or a wonder mom of two wonderful children who are on the autism spectrum. And ever since her children were diagnosed with the autism, she has found a new passion towards helping and empowering parents who have children with different needs or children of determination. So Sally also works as an operations manager at Butterfly, and she is also a life coach, and she helps parents with guiding through this integrate world of children of determination. And she's also a former special education teacher, special ed teacher, and she is very passionate, and she's an advocate for autism and the children of determination as well. So that's quite a lot of introductions, mashallah. And mashallah, you've done a lot.
Thank you.
And again, very
Thank you.
excited and super happy to learn from you
Thank
as
you. Thank you,
we,
Mustafa. I'd just like to add that I actually started off my degree at the university as a translator.
wow.
But of course, after my kids were diagnosed, my whole life shifted, and I am where I am because of them. So I'm very grateful for that.
That's thank you so much for adding this, and this this is very valuable, especially for parents. And at WonderTree, we do speak to a lot of parents, and majority of them, they're doing so much amazing work, and that journey actually started with their inspiration from their children. And I believe that the world is a better place because of their contribution, because they were inspired by their children. And WonderTree also, just by the way, WonderTree also started with our co-founder Osman, who has a older brother who is of a child of determination. So that's how the journey started. So when we talk about the core idea, which is parenting perspective, navigating autism, and we talk about positive behavior, or I'm just diving right into the questions, or reinforcing the desired action in your children. How do you go about it as a mother, and then as somebody who's guiding others? So as a professional, what would you say to other parents on getting the desired positive behavior out of the children?
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say that the challenges will never disappear. This will always be there. And as they grow up, I think it could get harder because eventually you will want to deal with teenagers, and to me, I think it's harder, and especially if they are teenager determination. So that's really a challenge. And my big boy is 10, but he's almost as tall as I am. I can see him growing really fast. So I'm preparing myself in advance to for this new age. So every age actually has its challenges, but to me, I think parents need more support when their kids get diagnosis, because especially to me, as a translator and a new mom, I had no idea what's going on in the autism world. I just started reading about this when my firstborn got diagnosed. So I had to, dive into this world. And at some point in your life, you get lost. You feel like you just surround yourself, you put yourself in a bubble with your child, and you forget all about everything else. You basically forget about yourself. You forget about, being a wife, being a daughter, it's just you and autism, just you. It was a really tough experience, tough period, but every parent has to go through that. And I think if I want to advise parents with one thing, is to just ask for help. We also tend to withdraw from the society at that period because we feel lost, because we don't know how to deal with our kids. We also tend to keep them away from the society to protect them, thinking that we are protecting them. But what we were actually doing is we're not letting them get involved in the society, because it's how do you say, like they are already a part of it by default. We are part of the society as parents and as kids. So I think I'm a little bit lost with the question, but
no,
it's really important
it's actually
to talk about this period.
a very important topic that you're discussing. And please, a lot of parents, they want to know the first step, I believe it's the hardest or it's the life-changing, when the parents discover that their children is diagnosed with some type of a
It's a very
condition
experience.
and how
Yep.
to deal with it. And some parents even go into denial as well. So it's very important to talk about it. So please do continue
Exactly.
and enlighten us.
Okay, thank you. And for most of the time, I don't want to say everyone, but most of the time, the mother gets too involved with her child's diagnosis and his condition. And the father would stay in the denial period for longer. That is common. Of course, not always the case, but it's common for the father to take more time to accept the idea that the child is on the spectrum or any other special case. So, yeah, I think to me, the most important thing is to ask for help. But what really helped me is the content that I was looking at. It's the best advice you can get to deal with someone with autism is to get this information from autistics. So I read books, for example, written by autistics. I even looked for you on YouTube for autistic adults to understand, their communication was really good. So I wanted to understand how their brain works. And that really, really helped me to put myself in their shoes and try to see the world the way they see it. Even though I can't, of course, but I tried my best to understand how their brain works. And that really helped me to empathize with them, to understand what they're going through, to try to not to change them, or because at some point in your life, when you, again, at the beginning of the diagnosis, you feel that there is something broken in them and you need to fix them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
with time, you shift your mindset to something else. And I'm really grateful that I'm in this period, because for some parents, even if their kids, become teenagers or adults, they're still stuck in this, in this period of life where they still need to fix their kids or to make them the way they want them to be. Yeah.
Yes. So you have actually touched upon something really important. Like a lot of parents, again, they have this notion, they have this concept that something, God forbid, that my child is broken and I need to fix them. And and this is something, again, when we talk to a lot of parents, this is something that we feel they don't say it directly, but it's very important to know. And then you also talked about using empathy, actually seeing how reading the books, or seeing how people with autism actually feel what is going into their head. I think this is a very good insight and a very good advice for everyone, especially the parents out there, in order to deal with the child better, or especially in order to understand what they're going through, or what they want, and how they're thinking. So this is amazing. This really good insight. So my next question, driving from this, is that so the parent has been through this, and they have accepted that their child has a autism or any special condition for that matter, and they want to make sure that their children are doing some positive behaviors, and they want to reinforce them, and at the same time they want to sort of contain the negative behaviors of the child. So in your opinion, or what was it that you did which helped you navigate and sort of enforce those positive behaviors? Yeah.
Okay. So for parents like me, of kids with autism, I think honestly every single day is a challenge, and it's not easy, because sometimes, when they say like the autistic kid has sensory overload, us as parents, we get that too from them. because let's say they could stay all day humming, miming, doing loud noises, even though sometimes they might be annoyed from loud noises, but they wouldn't be annoyed from their own loud voices. So that's a bit triggering for parents. If you're working parents, especially from home, it's really a challenge every day to deal with your work. And most of the time also autism is accompanied with ADHD. So it's not just, you know, voices and mimicking and things like that. It's also the action. So they can't sit still.
Yeah.
But to me, I try to focus on like reinforcing the positive behavior. So whenever they're just sitting really quietly, playing with their toys quietly, using their quiet voice instead of the loud one, I just, you know, try to encourage that. I try, even though they don't listen. But trust me, if you stay consistent, even maybe after a year, they need a lot of patience, I know, but even after a year, they will understand and they will help themselves to reduce the loud voices, to reduce the behavior that's so that. But again, to me, the question that would help me to reduce, you know, my anxiety, or if you want to reduce my sensory overload, I asked myself, is the behavior that my son is doing hurting himself, or is it hurting me? If not, then it's fine. Let him do it. I try to find ways to cope with that. So I could put music in my ears. I could just put earplugs, for example. But I remember that one time I was in a burnout period, and it was really a lot on me to handle. So I would say that what really saved me from drowning, and I really felt like drowning, because at that period I stopped working for a while. So breathing exercises and meditation really, really helped. Even though with both of them, they were around the house. It was summertime, no schools. So to me, just going to that space and try to, you know, forget about everything that is around me and focus on, you know, the meditation and the breathing, that really, really, really helped. And I encourage everyone to try it. Mustafa,
That's amazing.
how long?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
So Mustafa is asking,
How
how
long
long does it take to enforce the positive behavior? Like 1 year or 2 years? And just before you answer this, I think it's really important to highlight one thing that you mentioned is to be consistent and to be patient. And again, this is one thing that we have realized, that parents, again, they sort of, they're not patient, or they're not consistent, and they, I believe that they want earlier results. So it's really important that, like you said, that you know, for the parents to be patient and to be consistent with their children. Yes, you can go ahead and answer the question now. How long does it take?
Yeah, of course, there is no specific answer because every child is different. And as Temple Grandin said, if you meet one person with autism, you only met one person with autism. Like even with my kids, they are both autistics. They're brothers. They live in the same house. They got the same, I raised them the same, but they're two different, very different, two different personalities. And I cannot deal with my big boy the way I deal with my young one. Like if I want to reinforce a behavior with my big boys, some things would work for maybe one time. It will work. But with my young one, it would take longer, and vice versa. So it depends.
Great. And moving on to our next question, and some of it you have already answered. It was regarding not the child, but actually the parent, because the parents are going through a lot. they have to balance, like you said, their personal life, then their family life, then their professional life, and then you have children who also take a lot of your time and energy. So what would you say, and what did you do, as a parent to keep yourself motivated, calm, energized, and how do you still cope with this, and what advice would you give to other parents who are going through something similar?
Okay. I would highly, highly recommend, if the person feels like they cannot think clearly, then they definitely need a help from a psychologist. So again, support is really, really important, and better get it from a professional. So start with a psychologist. If you feel like you surpassed the depression period, or you feel better, you know how to deal with your emotions and things like that, then step up and get a coach, a life coach. That I tried these two, and they were the best investment I had in my life. So and then, because I really liked coaching, I got into coaching myself. But
this was going to be my next question. Is this what inspired you to
yeah.
become a life coach?
Okay. It's actually because I already took coaching sessions. But then, because actually coaching helps you to focus on yourself, and you really, really need it as a parent with kids with autism. Since you pass with a period of time that you forget everything and everything around you, you need to focus on yourself again and find yourself. And this is why I said at the beginning that I am where I am because of them. I wouldn't even have gone, or asked for the specialist support if it wasn't for them. So coaching helped me in realizing what I want, find my passion, um, set goals, and actually take steps towards my goals. So, but nowadays, thank God, I found someone who, we match value, who is Marilena, the founder of the Butterfly. So we match values, we have the same passion, and we're really growing really fast. But the new thing that I integrated in my life, and that is really helping me to step up in my life, other than, of course, reading books and following leaders on social media, this is really important. If you feel like you're following some things on social media, just ask yourself this question: is this page adding value to my life? If it's not, remove it. So to me, I honestly love my Instagram. I spend a lot of time on it, but that's because every time I open it, I learn something new every single day. So of course, yeah, focus on what you follow on your social media. And the thing that I integrated is sports. I've been consistent for around 3 to 4 months now, going to the gym, and I got addicted. I cannot stop. I try to work out on my own, but group workout, and when you pay, you will be more committed. So that's really, really helped me, feel sane in my brain and in my body.
That's amazing. And this actually is it sounds like life advice as well. And this is life advice, especially,
Yes.
if something is not adding value on Instagram, especially in this day and age where everybody is addicted to their screen, it's important to remove it. And sports, again, they're an amazing way to cope with stress. They're an amazing way to feel re-energized, have a good mood, have the right energy.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Wow.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank you so much for such valuable advices so far. So moving back to children and reinforcing positive behaviors, is there any, you would say, help in terms of tools, some products or tools or exercises or games that you think add value? Or help enforce positive behavior or build positive habits or just overall development?
I haven't tried much games. Basically my kids they watch the tablet, for example, 1 hour a day, or it's like one day in, one day out, and the next day they would use the Nintendo or things like that. But recently, thanks to you, I got to try WonderTree, and it's really nice, really, really nice, because most autistics, like for example, my big boy, he really struggles sometimes with hand-eye coordination, and he's not really good at sports. Physically, he finds it a bit harder than his younger brother. His younger brother can fly off the couch or the counter or whatever. Yeah, it's really two totally different personalities. So, but when they tried that, there was like a game with the ice cream scoop and things like that. It was really nice. They loved it, and they wanted to try all the games, but I always set time for them, like, no, next time. I really loved it. And it was something new because usually you always have to buy like accessories and something, and it was just really easy to use on the laptop. It's just all there. So that helped, and hopefully I will, subscribe to your games.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for the nice feedback as well. And this is something, again, we have talked to a lot of parents and a lot of experts before designing and developing these games. And we keep on improving them. And the fact that you don't need anything is also a part of the feedback that a lot of parents, like they want to use whatever is accessible in their homes. So this is why we deliberately chose a platform like it should be online, and it should just use your laptop and everything that the laptop comes with. So this is how we designed the game, and really happy to know in here that you have tried the games and your children love it.
Yeah.
That's really good, and hopefully they improve as well, which is our objective. So Umama is asking a question: how do you deal with the stereotypes that people associate with people of determination?
Stereotypes.
Stereotypes, especially
that people associate.
Yes. So, like you said that, like you quoted one individual that if you meet one person with autism, then you have met one person with autism. And a lot of people, again, especially when you talk about developing countries like Pakistan, they lack empathy. So they sort of tend to, generalize that if a child is with autism, then he or she must have these likes and these dislikes, or he or she must be handled like this and not like this. So people tend to generalize a lot. Have you faced this in your life as well? And if so, then what would you say on this?
Of course, because the society is not aware of what is autism. Some people would say, oh, but they don't look autistic. Okay, so describe autism to me. How would a person with autism would look like? There is no way you can, and it's a hidden disability. It wouldn't show. So to me, because you will hear a lot of words from the society. I stayed in Lebanon for a few years before coming back here to UAE, and it was hard to deal with them. But then again, when you get support from the specialists, you help yourself to gain confidence for yourself and for your kids, and you build that shield that you will be immune to the words. So you will not be affected. You wouldn't even care what people say. You would just help yourself and say, oh, it's okay. They're ignorant. They don't know. Yeah. They need help, actually. So I also sympathize with the society because some people are really sensitive, but I don't blame them. It is a sensitive situation. But when you really help yourself, you would understand also their point of view and where they're coming from. And that's why I'm trying to work also with Marilena on bridging this gap, because you wouldn't only need to work on the kids, on, you know, the people of determination, but you also need to raise awareness. So it's not one way, it's always two way, always. So yeah, I would say that if you're facing a lot of, for Umayma, right? If she's facing a lot of like, yeah, some comments, or she's being sensitive towards these comments, I would say gather these people around with your child, along with your child, and try to help them understand your child as well. Just raise awareness. That would really ease things up. Help them understand what your child is going through. If your child is verbal, let him or her talk for themselves as well.
That's amazing. And thank you for this answer. And I think this also leads us to my next question, which is that, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, but in my experience, some children with autism that I've interacted with, or the parents that I've interacted with, mentioned that the children are sensitive, or they become overly sensitive when they go to crowded places or public places. And for the parent, it is a challenge to, actually navigate through the public places. And it could be eating at a restaurant, or going for their visa or something like this, where they need to go, or they have to go, or they just want to spend a good time, maybe in the park. So it becomes a challenge for them, and some parents then, sort of get discouraged and they stop going, or they go less frequently. So what would you suggest an exercise or something for the child in order to maybe, help the child overcome the overstimulation that they're facing, and for the parent on how to navigate through this very common procedure, but a lot of parents actually they struggle with this.
Okay. First, sorry, I need to stop you because I need to say hi to Muhammad. He's a person of determination living in Morocco, the inventor hero. We've been talking for a while. Okay.
Hello, Muhammad. Salaam alaikum. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for supporting Sally.
Yeah. I have many friends actually attending, and
we should say hi to them all. Hello, all friends of Sally. Thank you so much for joining. I know you're here to support her, and that's an amazing thing that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, so basically the way I dealt with challenges, I think, like, to me, my kids are doing okay when we go out, because I help them to go out a lot. But if a parent is new and they're keeping their child at home for a long time, I would highly encourage them to try social stories, or even YouTube, or even games. If you have maybe on WonderTree, games would really help. And videos, stories, anything to and try to imitate the outing, to pretend that they're in a restaurant, but to be at home. It could be a bit challenging for the child to imagine that. So that's why the actual experience itself, to take the child out, even with the challenges, it's fine. But with the constant, at least if you go once a week, I'm not saying every day, of course, once a week, if you do that, it would really, really help the child. And to me, of course, my kids have been, had tantrums outside. The most important thing to do at this time is to stay calm. And if they are on the floor, go on the floor with them. Like, actually do that. Make them feel just everything you need to say is, it's okay, it will be fine, I'm here. That's it. Just, because they pick up on your energy a lot. And if you get frustrated, if you want to grab them from their hand, if you want to be angry, they will escalate. So that would make things worse. So the calmer you are, the more you show them you're sympathizing with them, and you understand what they're going through, that would instantly help them to feel calmer in a short period of time.
I'm smiling because this is such a beautiful answer that you have given. Number one, again,
Thank you.
exposure builds confidence, resilience, and the adaptability in them for the parents as well as for the children. And I love what you said about matching their energy and actually, making them feel safe that if they're doing something, if they're
Yeah.
throwing a tantrum, they're not alone or they're not standing out. You're actually there, you're supporting them. This also builds trust and confidence. So it's really amazing
Yeah.
and such a beautiful answer. Thanks so much once again.
Thank you.
And
Books really help. Books really help because one of the books I really want to mention the name is The Reason I Jump, and it's actually written by, back then he was 13 or 14 years old, non-verbal autistic. So, but he could write like on the keyboard. So that's how he wrote the book. It's all like questions and answers, but he answered himself. And one of the things he mentioned in the book is, and it gave me goosebumps at the time, even now. It's like they want our help when they have tantrum. He mentioned like, don't leave us, we need you. So I will never
wow.
forget that, and that's why I feel like, yeah, when my kids go through that, I feel like it's okay.
Wow, that's amazing. And the name of the book is Why I Jump. Am I correct?
The reason, the
The
reason I
reason,
jump.
the reason why I jump.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
I have written it down. I'm definitely going to read this myself as
Yeah.
well. And so
I'll send you the picture.
moving, yes, please. Thank you. That would be helpful for me in order to
You're
remember.
welcome.
My next question regarding children and their development is naturally education. And if they need help, then maybe some physiotherapy, occupational therapy, or even going to a psychologist or any medical professional. So, as a
Mm.
mother or even as a professional, how would you recommend parents to navigate this? A lot of parents are confused as to which school is the best, which school shall I send my child to, or if my child needs a help of a medical professional, where do I go? How do I go? How many times do I go? And so, what would you say on this topic?
Mm. Okay. Um, I love this question because uh, actually, and many parents ask me that, and what I tell them is looking for a specialist is kind of half of their decision, even less maybe, and the decision actually has to be for the child. If the child doesn't feel safe with the specialist, if they don't feel like comfortable with the specialist, then don't register the child for sessions with that specialist. The environment should be feeling safe for the child. The specialist should be really interactive, should be patient, because some people they just don't click. So it's really important
Yeah.
for the child to feel okay with the specialist. So that's really, to me, that's number one. The child should decide more than the parent themselves. The second thing I'd like to mention is during summertime, a lot of parents tend to say that we shouldn't stop therapies. I always stop therapies, always. And I don't even give them therapies after school. It's too much on the child. I cannot forget last year when I was looking for a school for my kids in the UAE. One mother was having an interview for her 4-year-old child. So he's in year one, I don't know, KG1, anyway, so first year at school. And the team of the specialists, they come, and it's a really good school. They come and ask her, is your child taking therapies? And she tells them, yes, everything. OT, occupational therapy, speech therapy, behavior therapy, even following up with a psychologist. And I'm like, oh my God, a 4-year-old, can you imagine a strict schedule every single day doing all that. Like, why? Why? It doesn't have to be that way. That is too much. Even me as an adult listening to, if I want to have that, I wouldn't be happy. So always put yourself in their shoes. Like, think, would you accept that to yourself? Would you want to be someone else to because actually they're trying to fix them. And I really felt sorry. And thank God I didn't register my kids in this school, because they said that they don't want my young boy because the class is full. But I knew instantly that he didn't interact with them. They said he was crying all the time. Well, of course, because they snatched him from me and didn't want me to be with him. So he didn't feel safe. So, I said thank you. So the next school we went to, both of my kids were feeling really comfortable, even though, let's say, here in the UAE, there's the KHDA. So there's a rate with the government. It wasn't that good, but to me, the psychology of the child, how they interact, is really important. And when they did the assessment for them, I was with them, and they were doing excellent, actually. My child was in my lap and doing the assessment. Why not? And the next day he went. He didn't even cry. I told him I always prepare them in advance. That's really important. My young boy doesn't really say full sentences, but I know he understands me. And it's really important to respect that, even with the nonverbal autistic. It's so important. Treat them like they fully understand you. So I prepared him in advance that now we're going to school, we're going to do, a session and assessment. And the next day, I will say bye, simple words. So I will say bye, I will see you after 2. I help them a lot with the time. So when they look at the time, they understand that, okay, mommy will come at 2, for example. It went perfect, actually. It really went perfect. So yeah, again, sympathizing is the most important thing.
That's again a very insightful answer. And I think one of the key takeaways that I personally took from this was that do not overload the child with too many things. There should definitely be a stop. And I think the parents sort of, again, it ties to the other comment that we were discussing, was that have patience and do not try to fix the child, like the child is broken and you need to fix the child. So I think that mentality comes into play, and they think that if they send the child to all these therapy sessions and everything, then the child will improve drastically and will take less time.
Yeah.
So again, a very, very important insight. And in terms of learning and developing for the child, because education, or you can say learning and development, doesn't continue at school at all. So it's always happening, especially with younger children. So is there any strategy or is there any method that you have adopted? Like, do you read them books, or do you play games with them like 1+1, or complete the sentence? Or how do you go about the casual learning with your children?
Okay. I didn't actually spend much time with my kids doing these activities and whatever, because I always think that fun is the most important thing to do. So I left the academic side for the school or for the therapist, and with mommy it's just either fun time or to go out, socialize, and that's what I really focus on. I'm not saying that for the parents don't do that. If you're doing that, great job, but it's just not me. I like to teach them. We actually talk more. So I teach them more about manners, or what's okay or what's not okay to do. So more social life. I focus more on social life, and sometimes we do activities. So yeah, that's basically the main thing that I do with them.
Again, this is again a very beautiful answer. that you leave the academics to the schools and you focus on having fun. And I think it's
Yeah,
really important
they're having
to
enough.
have. Yes, exactly. I mean, yeah, and this is again, I would say that this is more of a life lesson as well, that people tend to forget on having fun and the emphasis
Yeah,
on fun.
yeah,
And
yeah.
we should definitely, take some time out to have fun.
Exactly.
Because yeah,
Yeah,
life is stressful and boring. Otherwise, you go to school and then you go to
definitely.
work. So
Yeah.
it should be fun. That again, a very beautiful answer.
Thank you. Actually, my young boy's learning assistant, so she's like a shadow teacher. They call her LSA in the UAE. So she asked me recently, because now they finished school this week, and she told me, what are they doing this summer? Are you planning like to help him academically? Should I come and help? I told her, no, please. Summer is for fun. They're going to the summer camp, they're going to swim and things like that. That's it. They're just gonna have fun. So, in 2 months they will go back to school. So they need this break.
That's amazing. Again, that's a
Yeah.
really beautiful answer, and I completely
Yeah.
100% endorse this answer.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank
So,
you.
is there anything else in general? I know we're talking, and there's so many questions. My head is full of them. But like, is there anything else?
Um, and as a parent, you would like to suggest or
Other parents who are listening to this or who will listen to this after the recording is done?
Yeah. Yeah. First, I want to say thank you to Rana. Miss you too. And thank you for my cousin Omar for joining as well. Yeah, I actually want to say to parents, like for me during COVID, I think my kids stayed without therapy for 2 years, and even without school. They did some online thing, but it wasn't helpful at all. But they surprisingly they still improved. And I would want to say, because during that period, I realized that um, it's not all about therapists. And no matter how many sessions or no matter how good the therapist is, if you are not providing them with three important things in life. If you're not providing them with love, if you're not providing them with respect for their character, for their human being, if you're not providing them with so love, respect, and what was the third thing? Patience. So these three things to me are more important than any other therapy, because I really noticed in these 2 years during COVID, it really made a difference. We just enjoyed our time. We did a lot of activities at this time, but not academic activities. We did handcraft things or drawing or whatever. We danced. We really enjoyed this period of time. It was very calming, and I can see them. I saw them improving without anything, just love, respect, and patience.
that's again love, respect, and patience. I've taken a mental note of this as well, and again, once again a beautiful advice, really beautiful words, and I generally
Thank you.
think that this indeed trumps everything else. And if the child, number one, know that they're loved, know that they're respected, and sometimes they make mistakes or they're not able to like uh, you can say they're not able to do what you desire of them instantaneously. So if you show them patience, I think again this is the life advice as
Yeah.
well, that I believe
Yes,
anybody, any human
exactly.
being who have these three things,
100%.
they'll be very happy, and
They will
they
thrive.
will definitely
Yes.
progress as well. Yes,
They
they'll be
will thrive.
content as well.
And
And I think
yeah,
this definitely goes for children of determination as well.
yeah,
And this
yeah,
is
yeah.
a beautiful
And
and
just
wonderful advice.
thank you. I would just like to add that always try to see for any child, the one strength point that they have. if you cannot find one, let them try different things and see where their strength point is, and honestly disregard the weaknesses, because it's not important. You can improve them. If it's regarding communication, it's really important to find a way of communication, pictures or games or whatever. But yeah, try to what was I saying?
You were saying strength, focus on strength.
Yes. Find a way of communication. Try to understand what they like, and help them improve in that area. So, for example, my big boy really likes swimming, and I try to register him in swimming classes, for example. My young boy is into maybe gymnastics. We need to try. So let's see how he does. But you know, sometimes, you know, finances doesn't help, but we're trying. At least we registered him in activities like that, similar to that. So yeah, it's really important to find that strength and build it up. It's not all about academics. To me, honestly, I always think that schools are not everything, and we have success stories of entrepreneurs, big entrepreneurs of big companies who didn't even go to universities or school. So it's not the most important thing we need to look for. If they're not at school, it's fine. They can be productive in other ways too.
Okay. I'm smiling because I really love the statement that you said that schools aren't everything. I completely think this is true. And there are so many examples, and there's so much else that you learn other than school. So it's you know it's a very important concept for parents to realize that school isn't everything, or if the child is getting bad grades, that does not mean the end of the world. There is so much more than that, and there are so many other things like children could be late bloomers, or if they're not like again doing academically well, that does not mean that they won't do well in life or in general, or you know, it's not a way of sort of judging or evaluating a child in general. Another thing that you said, I would just like to highlight this, especially for the audience, is that you said that you know, specializing or finding strength. I also think that I genuinely believe that it also is a very big self-esteem booster for children, that they know that they're good at something and they're constantly improving, and that also has a you know, effect on other things that they do in life as well. If they're good at one thing, they would want to be good at other things, or they will have the confidence that if they can be good at one thing, they can be good at other things as well. That's again, that's brilliant advice and brilliant advice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. So that is about it. I think we were on time as well. So if there are any last words, Sally, you would like to say to our wonderful audience, you can. And those of us who are listening to us, I'm sorry I forgot to mention, but you can ask questions if you want with Miss Sally. She's an expert. Sure. So yeah, we can go ahead. So now we're ending the session, but if you have any questions, you can you know, like type them in. And Sally,
I'm not an expert. Yeah, no, I just want to say I'm not an expert, but you know, I think life taught me a lot.
Yes, but like I've talked to you, and you're full of wisdom and full of such great and amazing insight, and we're super happy to have you here. And I'm sure that these insights will help a lot of parents. And all about hearing it is saying all tips are amazing. Thank you, Sally.
Yeah, that's Amira. That's Amira, my friend. Her daughter is hard of hearing. So yeah, thank you, Amira.
Yeah, and she's straight. What she's saying is absolutely true. All tips that you gave are really amazing, and some of them are even, you know, life lessons or life tips as well, not just for parents or for children in general, but general way
it's
of
all
living.
about Yeah, it's really all about mindset. When you help yourself to look at things differently, you really live life fully and you enjoy it and you just disregard the things that you cannot control. Honestly, who can control someone else and change them? So I would just say, don't try to change your kids. Love them the way they are. Let them do what they want, and you will enjoy that. When you see them happy, you will be happy yourself. So yeah, it's a two-way. If, you know, when you are happy too, when you focus on yourself, they will be happy as well. You will just want to have fun. So that's really important. Also, I want to say that I'm not a perfect parent. Sometimes I go, I have hard weeks, but always remember to have support. So yeah, I'm actually, I don't know. I'd like to mention that I see my kids every day. They're not with me. I'm separated, so they come with me in the weekend. But what really helped is that since they've been 1 year old, I set a routine for them. Um, they sleep on time, they wake up on time, and for autism, that's it's really important. It makes them feel comfortable, and if we want to change something in the schedule, I just prepare them in advance. It also helps. So yeah, I just want to say that I'm not a perfect parent. I feel overwhelmed sometimes. I feel I've had enough with them. I need my space, but yeah, I taught myself to ask for help because I didn't before. I drained myself until it built up, but then help. So asking for help is a skill. Actually, I learned with
Absolutely.
time.
Absolutely. And I would just like to highlight this again that uh, like we think that or we think that our biggest strength is that we can do everything alone. But again, life lesson as human beings,
Yeah.
where we can never do everything alone, and we need a team and we need people to help us out. And people actually like helping other people out. So asking for help is really important. And I think it takes a lot of
Yes.
humility and discipline and courage as well
Exactly.
to say that
Yes.
I don't get this. I need help. So yeah,
Yes.
it's really
That's why
important.
it's a skill. It's not
Yeah,
easy. It's not
and
easy.
from
Yeah.
our part, you are a wonder mom, and you're
Oh,
doing
thank you.
amazing, and you're helping so many people, and you have helped us as
Thank
well,
you.
and you're helping so many people who are going to see this session. So thank you so
Mm.
much, Sally, once again,
Thanks to
for
you.
being amazing, for doing what you're doing, for making the
Thank
world a
you.
better place for other parents, for yourself, for your children, and for other children. So thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity. I love the questions. They're so professional, and I hope we helped. To me, I always set an intention that um, even if one person is listening and they're benefiting, that's enough for me. I don't want anything else in this world. So I hope we
Ex-
help one parent at
Exactly.
least. And I I just want to send a warm greeting for my kid's nanny. I don't think she's watching, but she can hear me because she's with me in the room. So yeah, my kid's nanny, she has been with them for almost 2 years now, and she's been a blessing to me. We're best friends. We chat. So I couldn't have done this without her. I couldn't have even progressed in my career with Marilena as well without her. So
Amazing. Hello from us, from me and Sally, if you're watching, and thank you for doing an amazing
thank
job.
you, thank you, thank you.
All all
I'll
right then,
send her the
Sally.
greeting.
Any last words before we say our final goodbye? Goodbyes. I know I've asked you this question twice, but I think like every time I say this,
No, it's
you
okay.
always come up with something new and more beautiful to say and more insightful. So
Oh,
I'll
thank you.
ask you again. Maybe you'll come up with something else.
Thank
Any
you.
last words?
No, no, but I just want to say that whoever is hearing us, they feel like they're stuck in somewhere, just please feel free to contact me. I'm always ready to support for free. Just DM me on Instagram.
Amazing. We will share your details as well, so you can help
Yes.
more people, as many people as you
Sure.
can.